Of course. Let me connect this there. Cool. Perfect. This is class number 7, 322. I don't know what's 322. Yeah, this is 322, the room. Yes. Cool. Okay, so I'm gonna start. Everybody has its Python thing. You didn't get to set up. You gotta ask Ron. Ron is your man. Did you set up? You're new, right? I haven't seen you around. So what you're gonna do, I'll help you real quick here. You're gonna come here, you do plus, you're gonna, do you have Python in your computer? You have PyCharm? Yes. You have Python as well, I assume. Okay, so let's, once you click in PyCharm, you can just do, so you do new project, and you just create a Python project. Let me go help you.
My computer's like restarting right now.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as you get restarted, just ask Ron, and then we can go ahead and, well, last class we talked a little bit about files. Kind of got like a little entangled a little bit, so that's why we're gonna refresh it all today real quick, like about 15 minutes. And I know there's some new people, so if you're lost, don't worry. I'm gonna try to explain everything as I go. But this is just a little more advanced because we've been building on top of what we've been seeing. So in files, the most important thing, as both files and internet connections, the way everything works is you have 4 main concepts: open, read, write, and close. That's both in files and in network. In network, you will open a connection, you will read or write from a connection, like you will send packets, and then you will close the connection, and then you can have other connections, right? You want to always close connection because you have limited resources. If you have 1,000 connections with 1,000 servers, like you have one connection with Google, one connection with iMessenger, one connection with Snapchat, right? Those are connections from your phone. If you never close them, then you can get all your resources filled, right? So that's why you always close. And then obviously you have to open to be able to read or write from it. And yeah, the main things are read and write. So the way Python works with files is pretty simple. You just create a file, and then you do open. That's the function. And then you give the name of the file, right? So I have a couple of, I have a file that I actually downloaded from, this is the file that we worked last time when we were dealing with lists and strings. And I just copy and paste it, and I call it sus.txt. You can find this file if you just Google sus blah, it's right here, green eggs and ham. It's just like an example. So I just copy, create a new file, you do right click here, new file, and then you just call it whatever you want, and it gets saved in this folder, which is where your program also is, class 7, right? So you just do sus.txt, and now we also talk about modes, right? So you have to say open, and then you send the mode. We talk about the main modes. So you have read, write, append, and then you have 2 elements that can be added to all this, which is v for binary, and then the plus, you increase the mode. So for example, you can do read binary, so it will open it in binary mode. And what's this weird thing about binary? I wrote this for you, but like it basically, it doesn't have a file type definition. So you can open most of the files as txt, which is text, right? But if you want to open an image, which is, it can be JPEG or PNG, right? You will open it in binary mode, right? Because it's not a string, it's not something that Python actually understands. So you open it in binary mode, you process it the way you want, and then you can close it, right? For example, PDFs, you also open them in binary mode. Word documents, the good thing is that it's translatable to TXT, so you can open a Word document as TXT. But you see, videos cannot be opened as TXT because it's just a lot of images through time, right? So you open those type of things as binary, and then you do some processing in it. Right now, to be able to see how we do processing, we're just gonna use text because it's really easy to see what's happening. Um, so let's go over real quick which of them this does. So read, you read the file, right? Write, you actually write the file and then you give them the name, right? If the file already exists, it's gonna overwrite it, so it's gonna delete everything that the file had before. And then append, that's why you use append. Append is actually to, if you had some data in the file, you just put it right at the end of the file, so you keep putting data on the file. As I said, you can put it in binary mode, and then the plus increases the mode. So you can do read R plus, which means that you can read and write. You can do W plus, which means that you can write and read. And then you see R plus and A plus, R plus and W plus is almost the same thing. And then A plus, which lets you also write and read. You see, because A alone just for appending. So then you combine all these definitions of how they are. So I'm just gonna do read for right now, and then we're gonna see two main functions. I'm gonna put them in comments. These are the functions that last time, because I was a little tired, I wasn't able to. So you have the function read in the file, which gets the whole, how do you write whole like this, the whole file. So it basically get the whole file, right? And then you have read lines, which gets everything up to the first, and I'm gonna do this. So this /n means new line, so it will get everything in the file up till that character. So that's what it does. Now let's try it out. So we're gonna use some for loops, right? We don't know too much about for loops, like for the new ones, but a for loop is just some piece of code that executes several times, right? So I'm gonna do for line in file dot you do read line. That will give all the lines, right? You're just gonna print the line, right? Hopefully it works now. And then let's see what happens. There you go. You see, I printed this print line. It prints the whole lines. You see, it's so fast that it just goes like, right? So I am Sam, and then it reads and prints, right? You see that there's like more lines, like the original file only has like one line, and then you have here this. It's because print also adds a new line, right? So that's why you have that many spaces in between. Well, in the original file you only had this, right? So yeah, that's basically what read does. And now, for example, you can have, let me go back to class 7. You can do the same thing as you can whole file equals, let's just take this out, whole file equals, and then you do just file, right? And then you do read, and then you just print the whole file. So you're gonna print the whole thing. It's the same thing that we did, pretty much, right? But there's not those annoying spaces that I was creating because of the for loop, right? So you basically have the whole thing. In very big files, you don't wanna do this because it will definitely read the whole thing. Now, I'm gonna show you how it will look like. We are doing R, right? And then if we put RB, it's gonna read it in binary mode, right? And then let's just see what happens. So this B at the beginning means that it's binary. And if you see it as actually showing you how it looks in the binary way. So you actually can see the new lines here. You have 2 new lines there. And then every little detail of the file. Obviously, because it's a text file, the binary elements, which is this, which is a character, it shows as a character when you print it. And with binary, you can do basically the same as with strings. You know, we have in strings, like for example, I'm gonna comment this out real quick. Damn, it started raining. I'm gonna comment this out real quick. If I have my name, right, and then I have a string called Alejandro, and then I have my last name, right? and then this is Andrade, right? If I just wanna get both of them, I just do name plus last name, right? So that's a way to concatenate the elements. You see there's no spaces because it literally combines them all. So if you want to actually create a space here, you can just do this. And then you're actually creating a variable with a space there, right? You can also print, enables you to actually pass several variables. So we're passing name and last name, and that will automatically put a space on them, in between them. So yeah, that's cool. I'm just showing you that in binary, you can do that. For example, you want to put two images together. You just read in binary one image, read in binary another image, and then you put them together. Now we're going to do something with images, so I can show you that when you read a file in binary mode and it's something like an image, it's going to look kind of weird because it's bytes, right? So let's just get an image. I don't know, let's do wallpaper. Wallpaper. Whatever comes first. Cool. So I'm gonna do save image as. I'm gonna put in my documents. Oh, actually, I'm gonna put in my desktop real quick because I don't know. And then image, and this is a JPEG. It's a JPEG image, right? So I'm just gonna go this zoom in real quick. Oh, there's a plug right there. Maybe you wanna go there. So I'm gonna do Control C, come back here, and then I'm gonna do here. Let me see if I can just Control V, image.jpg, boom. So this is the image, right? We can open it in PyCharm and it's gonna look like that. So you cannot obviously read an image. You cannot do read and then just throw the read there because you're just gonna read. It's not that you can read text, right? You cannot read images, are actually pixels, it's just numbers. We're gonna see it right now. So we do image.jpg, right? And then we're gonna do the same thing. So we have my file, image.jpg. I'm actually gonna bring this a little bit down so we can continue the flow. So I have image.jpg, and then I'm gonna do image equals file.read. And I'm gonna print this out to see what happens, right? You gotta see that it's in binary mode, right? So we do print and then we do image, right? So it's just gonna be a bunch of bytes. This is how an image looks in terms of bytes. So every dash, it's a byte, right? And this is hexadecimal. You see, it looks weird, right? But this is hexadecimal. So it's not binary, and you're just going to see a bunch of zeros and ones. In memory, they abstracted one more layer up. So you actually see hexadecimal. Hexadecimal is just 0 to 9, and then A to F. So you have 15 characters, from 0 to 15, which is 16 characters. That's why it's called hexadecimal. It's 16. So this is how you see an image. And then if you want to, for example, let's do R+, right? Let's do it for a second, R+, to see how we can kind of damage this file, right? We do image read, right? So we have all the bits in image, and then we're gonna do image plus equal to 1. So we're gonna actually have a duplicate right there, right? We're gonna put all the bytes of the image again into the image, right? And then we're actually gonna do file.write, and it's probably gonna corrupt our file. Then we're gonna write there, here. We're gonna do that. And then it says Unicode UTF code cannot decode byte, X position invalid start byte. That's here in class7. So you see, it didn't let me read like just that. That's why you gotta put the RB, because it tried to the UTF-8. It's the text. It's the way we see text. So because I put R+ without the B, it was like, hey, this is not a text file. I'm failing because I cannot read it, right? So you gotta put that binary, and then it finished, and then we actually just corrupted this. We have like more bits in here. Yeah, so you can do that type of stuff. Now what I wanted to do is just show you that you can do write, reads, kind of go over what we did last time. And now I wanted to combine that with functions. So we're gonna make a small project for the rest of the class, which we have half an hour. We're gonna have a little program that is gonna be able to store your to-do list. Do you sound like a good program to code in 30 minutes? Okay, so let's make a menu. So we're gonna define menu, right? Menu is gonna be empty, like no inputs into the menu. So we're gonna have a while loop, right? While, and then we're gonna have answer, and we're gonna have this, and then while answer is not equal to exit, right? We're gonna say answer is equal to, so anyone knows how to get input from the person. What was the name of the function to get input? How do you call the function? Yeah, correct. You see, it's pretty straightforward. You just do input and you ask whatever you want. So what do you want to do, right? And then obviously the person doesn't even know what they want to do if we don't show them something, right? So we actually want to create our menu. So menu list, menu prompt, let's call it menu prompt. And then we're going to create a few things. So what are the basic functions we need in a program that we're going to store our to-do lists? We want to see our to-do list, see to-do list, right? I'm going to put a new line just like that. What else we can do? We want to add to do, right? We're gonna add a to do, add a task. Let's call it task. See tasks. Let's call it task because to do sounds weird. So see tasks, add task. What else? What else we're gonna do? You wanna remove tasks? Okay, fine. We can code that in 30 minutes for sure. We're gonna remove a task. Remove a task. That's a little more complex because if you wanna remove a task, you actually gotta give one more thing, right? Yeah, what else do we want to do? See task, add task, remove task. Sounds like a pretty good program to actually use file storage, right? Because you see a task, just reading from a file, right? Add a task, you write to a file. I remove a task, you actually delete that, and at the end of your program, you write again, right? So I think that's good. We are gonna print the menu prompt. We're gonna print actually inside the loop, right? So it repeats every time the person does something. Real quick, oh my god, I don't know what's happening. There you go. So I just want to copy this and put it actually in the loop so it appears several times, right? So we print the prompt, we ask the person what he wants to do, and then we store that answer in here. And then we're gonna have a couple of if statements. So if answer, right, equals to what? To 1, right? Elif, so if the answer fails, we're gonna do answer equals to 2, right? And then elif answer equals to 3, right? Now we're gonna use our functions, right? I don't wanna write so much code in this little line. There's gonna be so much code in just one thing. So that's why we learn functions. So we're gonna make a function and we're gonna call it C tasks, right? I haven't made it. You see that it's red. It tells me unresolved reference. Well, like Python is basically telling me what the hell are you typing there. I've never seen anything like that before. We're just gonna leave it there for a second. And then we're gonna say add tasks, right? And then we're gonna do remove task, right? I'm gonna actually see task, add task, remove task. Anything else you wanna add into this program? You're actually the creators of the program, so you can just raise your hand and be like, hey, I wanna put this functionality. No? Okay, well, if you have any ideas, let me know. So we're gonna define, that's how you define a function. You put the def in front and you do C tasks, right? And then the way a good coder actually will code the names well, right? Do I really need to put a comment saying what's this function gonna do if it says C tasks? No, right? So a good coder actually makes its coding really readable, and that's the best way to actually learn and be able to pass your code, because sometimes you don't code alone, you code with 50 other people, and then if your code is unreadable, it's so annoying, and they will call you at midnight and be like, hey, I'm trying to put this program running in the internet and I can't, and I need your help because I don't understand hell what you're doing. So make sure you actually name things. That's the main reason of programming languages, so we can name things and we don't use bytes and bits and zeros and ones. We actually make it like as a language that we can speak and understand. So C tasks. However, I'm gonna put a comment here so we don't forget. Display all tasks, right? Just for right now, because I'm gonna put first the whole structure and then we're gonna code little by little bit. So we have C tasks. You see that this part didn't go away. Like before it was red and it says on resolve task. Now it knows that there's a function called C task that is basically gonna get placed here. It's gonna get called. Now we're gonna have add task, right? And then we're gonna have define last function, which is remove task, right? So you were gonna realize that adding a task is not complex, right? Because you just add something. But removing task actually requires to see tasks, right? Because you cannot remove something that you don't see what it is. So that's a good reason why to make functions also. Because if you will have just coded everything right here, then you will have probably had to copy and paste the same thing when you remove a task, right? By the way, this is misspelled, remove tasks, right? Cool. So now we want to make this. If we just code it without files, the moment you close your program, you lose all your tasks, right? We don't want that, and that's why we use files, because files get stored. Your program can die, your computer can turn off, and the file will persist, right? So we're gonna create a quick file here. Make sure that everything else is commented out because these are a new project. So we're gonna create our task file, right? And we're gonna do open. So what are we gonna open in? From the things that we learned, obviously we're gonna give it a name, task file.txt, right? And we're gonna put a mode. What do you think we should open the mode in? Right now it doesn't exist, so we actually need to create it. Right, yes, correct. But what happens if it already exists and you open your program again? It will overwrite it. So what else do we need? Write plus, right? We can read and write from the file. That's perfect, write plus. So you were right. Both of you were right. We just needed to put the plus there.
What does the plus do again?
The plus?
What is it? Yeah, what is the plus do again?
So here we have in the comments, increase the mode more than just the initial mode. So R plus, read and write, W plus, you write and read, A plus, append and read.
Oh,
So from here we see write in the file. If file does not exist, it creates the file. If file exists, you overwrite the file. So if we only put the write, we actually overwrite the file. We don't want to do that because we lose all our tasks that we already put. And then yeah, overwrite, get rid of all the previous information. These comments that we did in last class, right? You can also have appended. The only thing that append puts the file into the end. So you will have to, if you want to read right away from it, you have to go all the way from the beginning. We're gonna deal a little more. You're gonna learn more how to manage files right now with all this. So see tasks. Now we need another function, right? Because yeah, funny and everything and cool, but we need kind of a function that allows us to get all the tasks, right? And be able to put it somewhere. So I'm gonna actually create a function called def file IO, right? And then, oops, or just like file. We usually use API with someone that communicates with something else. In this case, I just want to make sure I read from a file and I actually put it in a data structure. We can do this right now, or we can create a function for it. I don't know what you want to do. I don't want to complicate. Let's not create too much a function there. Later we can put it, actually we just define a function name. But as right now it doesn't have much of a structure, let's just do this. We have a task file. I want to put it into a data structure. What's a data structure? It's something that you store your data in, right? So let's create our tasks. Do you want it to be yeah, let's make it a list, okay? It's an empty list at the beginning. So we have a task file, we open the task file, and we want to get our tasks, right? So we are just going to do this for line in task file. We're gonna do task dot append tasks dot append, and we're gonna append the line, right? And then we can do this task file read lines, which is the same as just saying for line in task file. So you can check it out. That's actually gonna give it every single line of the task files, right? Cool. So we append that in the line, and then we have our tasks here. That we can actually put in a function def get tasks, right? We can actually do that and then put it in a function. So we can call it several times. So, and then we can take this guy, put it actually here. I want to start like building functions with you guys, not only coding everything out of nowhere. This is the way we should actually code. And then obviously you did open, you read, and then you do task file dot close, right? You want to close the file. Now, when you add a task, that becomes easy, right? So you do task file again, based on this thing, task file equals to open task file dot txt, and then you do, if you just want to add a task to your file, what will be the mode? Correct. You just do append, right? And then you do task file dot dot write, right? And then you just pass your task, right? We actually don't have a task, so should give it an input as called task, right? So we will write, and obviously task file dot close, right? So we have our get task, and then we have our add task, right? Remove task is a little more complicated, right? Why? First, in remove task, we gotta show the person the task. So we're actually gonna go see tasks, right? After we show them, the person, all the tasks, we're gonna ask the person what? Yes, so we do answer, right? And then we do input, which task you want to remove, right? And then he's gonna throw a number like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So you're gonna actually make this answer, we're gonna make it an int, right? So we do int of answer. And actually I wanna, you know, lists, what's the first element of a list? What's the index of the first element of a list? 0. So we're gonna subtract -1 from that, right? So make sure that we actually have an integer that it's in accordance with our structure, right? And then what else do we do?
Close.
Not yet. We have to eliminate the element first.
Remove task of all of them.
Yeah. So we do tasks. We're gonna have maybe a global variable, or we can just throw the task here, right? Tasks. And we do tasks dot remove. And then we throw the element, right? Answer. Cool. I have to make sure that remove does that, because sometimes remove removes the element and not the index of it. But I think you can use pop. pop, and then you can give the actual index. We gotta double check on that, make sure that it works. But we will do the debugging later, right? For right now, maybe put a comment, check, something like that, right? Now, after we do that, I feel like we should show the person what's still in the list, right? So we're gonna do see tasks, and then what else we're gonna do? We haven't opened or closed the file yet. The files that we use, we open and close. So yeah, we can do two things. We can actually write this new file, but every time he's removing, you're gonna have to write in the file, and you don't wanna do that. So you actually wanna do that at the end when the program has run out. When the person wants to exit, you wanna write to that file, right? So I think it's a good idea to, by now, I think you have all realized that tasks is gonna be a variable that is getting used in all the functions. So we might as well, instead of passing it through all the functions, we make a global variable. And it's fine, your professor will tell you, oh yeah, like don't make global variables, that's bullshit. I use in my programs that are in the App Store a lot of global variables. That's the way you communicate. Obviously you gotta be careful because global variables can get change a lot inside your functions, right? So you gotta monitor them. But as long as you know what you're doing, you're gonna be fine. It's not like what you can do or shouldn't do, is like actually coding the right way or the wrong way, right? They also tell you that you shouldn't use breaks in while loops. Well, break was created to do exactly that. So,
Yeah, why did they say that?
huh?
Because they say that for MATLAB.
Just because they don't know how to use it, and maybe they haven't coded enough to see a case where it's actually useful. You don't have to be superstitious about really anything. Like, yes, I don't use it 99% of the times, but there's always that one case where you actually gotta do that. You know what I mean? Like, you actually gotta hit that break, because otherwise coding it is gonna be too complicated. Just do, if this happens, break. Fuck everything else, right? So that's it. That's pretty much it. So here we have this global variable. You do tasks append. Now we have these tasks. You can do for task in tasks, right? Print. Oh, and here we have a little thing, right? We should, in this case, we should actually use a range, right? For I in range, and then you do tasks, which gets the range of task, right? You can also do, to be more explicit about stuff, you can do length of task, right? But if you just do range of task, Python is intelligent enough that just shows you the length. And then you're gonna print I, right? And then we're gonna do boom, you're gonna dot, and then we're gonna do some space, or actually we don't need a space, we can just do that. And then we just do tasks of I, right? I'm accessing the I value of the task. So in that way it's gonna be, and now we have a small thing, right? It's gonna be 0, so we wanna add 1 point because people don't think the first task is a 0 task. And that's cool. So it's gonna print and then go new line, and that's it. Now we have this task thing here, we have this task here, tasks here, a task, you add this to your file, right? Now, do you actually need to add the task to your file or just to the structure, the data structure you have? So this is incomplete, right? We gotta do tasks dot append task, right? Cool. So we actually put it in our data structure, and then we also put it in our file to make sure that in case all the wrong things happen, at least you updated that, right? So then the same paradigm here. If you actually want to remove a task, you can open your file, overwrite the file, put all the new tasks and close the file. In that way, if something happens meanwhile your program is running, your data doesn't get corrupt. That's what nowadays happens. Like every time you do something in Google Docs or in these new Microsoft Word programs, it will constantly write to the file, right? It used to happen the opposite when it was like 5 years ago. If your computer ran out of battery or it just crashed and it closed, you lose all your data and there was no recovery. Now every certain time you will write into the file, right? So it depends. We want to make sure that, let's say, this super important program, we don't want to lose any task because it's like the most precious we have. So yeah, in that case, we should, every time we remove, we want to do, and then we're also practicing with files, so let's do that. So we do file task, right? We're going to do open, and then task file.txt, and then we're going to do w, because I actually want to override this, because you don't know when the person is actually gonna when the person is actually going to okay, I'm gonna repeat that. When the person, what list in the whole list the person is gonna delete, it not necessarily has to delete the end one, it can delete any of them, so you actually are gonna override the whole list, right? So we're gonna open that, you're gonna do for task in tasks, right? What are you gonna do? You're gonna do file tasks dot write, and you're gonna do your task. And then we saw from the last class that if you just do that without doing anything else, you're gonna have trouble reading later. So we actually gotta put the new line there, right? Because you read by new lines, you read by spaces, you always gotta put a delimiter. That's what we call delimiters, right? So we will do that. It's gonna add a task and a small new line, right? And then we're all perfect. So as far as right now, we have everything we wanna do. It's 5:45. We are actually have 15 minutes, so we are gonna be able to debug and see this working perfectly. I think we're good to go. So here we have menu prompt. What do you wanna do? If you see the task, if you add a task, we're missing still something else, right? A task gets a task, so we actually gotta prompt the person again. So we're gonna call task equals what? What's the thing to get thing from the user? Input, right? I'm gonna type your task, and then he's gonna type his task. Oh, sorry, I put it in the wrong way, in the wrong thing. It should go actually here, right? Boom. So task, input, type your task. This is something I love about PyCharm. You see that this is like a little dark in it? That means that you haven't used it yet. So it's so intelligent, it tells you, hey, you haven't used this variable, obviously. So we're just gonna put it here, task, right? Boom, and then it gets clearer. Those things you're gonna learn that coding in an IDE like this, like PyCharm, that is free and everything, it saves you so much time and so much debug trouble, because like these type of little things, when you code a lot, it's very helpful, very, very helpful. And then what else we're missing here? So we have 1, 2, 3, see task, add task, remove task. In the remove task, we actually ask the thing here, right? So we change a little bit, we're removing the task here. We could have done the same thing here if we will have been using the same paradigm. You don't want to put the input here, you don't want to use inputs, that's fine. You just call this function, which that should be the right thing to do, right? And then you put it here. These are all different ways to actually code, right? And then we can just take away this guy. So if you see, none of our functions except remove tasks gets anything, but as we say, tasks become a global variable, so boom, nothing. You see, you have no inputs, you just have some processing that's basically done in this global variable task, right? Just a clean way of doing it. You see, not a big deal. There's a million ways to code things, but this, for me, it seems pretty clean. Now we're missing something else, the last and most important thing. Yes.
You have to start the program.
Yeah, apart from the fact we have to start the program and test it, but what are we missing in the loop? If the program runs as is, what's happening? What else? What's the most important thing we're missing? Yes.
Like something to stop it from running.
Correct. So we're missing the last thing. So we're gonna do elif answer equals to 4, right? We're gonna do answer equals exit, right? And then else, also if he's the user, it's been stubborn and doesn't want to do 1 to 4 and puts anything other than 1 to 4, want to make sure we exit the program, right? So then we are in a while loop. Anything can be taken here except exit, right? So once this is equal to exit, we're gonna exit this while loop, and then we can do print thank you very much for using your preferred to-do list, task list guy, task, I don't know, task program, whatever, right? Cool. Now we have all the functions created. They get called, and then we just gotta do this last one here, and then 4.0 exit program, right? Cool. Amazing. So we have everything. We print this, we get that stuff. I think our program is ready to run. So what's the only thing that we need to call to run our program? Yes. Yes, correct. So menu is the only function that we didn't call, because that's actually where everything is running. So we just do menu, and the program is gonna come. This is what Python sees. Python comes here, is like, oh, I have to create this variable. Oh, I have to create this variable. Oh, look, these are all functions, but none of them are getting called. So I'm gonna put like nothing, and then, oh, this is another function. But here's where things get executed. So this is actually the start execution of your program. So now let's try it, and let's see what happens. And if we had some mistakes, we'll program. So what do you wanna do? Let's see, we hit 1. Nothing happens, right? There's no tasks. Let's do 2, right? Type your task. Clean my do laundry. Amazing. So let's see if actually got stored. There you go. Do laundry. We actually have a little ugly thing going on here. The menu is getting blended with the tasks, right? So let's actually do something for it, right? Let's see a way to do that. So in C tasks, let me see, we can do for I in range, let's do 10, I don't know. We're gonna do print, and then we're gonna print some dashes, right? We're gonna print some dashes, and we're gonna do end. That means that I don't want a new line, so I just want 10 dashes, and then after that I do want a new line, right? So we're gonna do this same thing here, here and here, and maybe some like new lines, right, to make it nicer, to make sure that it looks good. So do that, perfect. So we stop it, we're gonna run it again. Let's see actually if things got saved. So we do 1, it didn't get saved right away, right? Because of what? Let's say task text file. Actually do laundry does have stored that. We actually store it. So what happened? Anyone knows why when I did 1 and I want to see my task, the do laundry didn't appear? I don't know either. Let's check it out. So we do get tasks, see tasks, right? Did we call get tasks at any given point?
No.
No, we never call get tasks, right? Correct. So we need to call get tasks. So you can call it here, get tasks, right? We're gonna stop this guy, and then we're gonna see if actually things happen. Not yet. So that's when you get and you say, oh, I don't know what's going on. Let's debug it. So you see this guy, you can run or hit this guy, which it looks like a bug, like an insect. You can actually do that and do that. So our program is gonna run and hit this point that I make like a red thing, which is I'm showing you some debugging stuff here too. So it hits that in get tasks. You can keep going, right? And it gets me into the task file. This is a good way to actually understand how the flow of the program goes, right? So we have tasks file, we open, you see it has this encoding, you do that, and then for line in task file read lines, it didn't show me anything. And then we go back and it's actually empty, so we actually override it before. So let me see if I stop it and see what is actually happening here. So it's empty now, right? So there's somewhere something, but we're just gonna play it again. We're gonna start from 0. We're gonna do see tasks, nothing happens. Do a task, do cook food. Let's do cook food, right? And let's see what happens. So if we do see tasks, we have cook food right there, right? Let's add some more tasks. So we do 2, I don't know, feed the cat, right? And then do see tasks, feed the cat, right? And then let's see if we can remove. So which task you want to remove? I want to remove number 1, right? And then I want to see tasks. There's only feed task, feed the cat now. You see the cook food, that was number 1. We'll remove it, so feed the cat now is the number 1 task to do, right? And then let's see what happens if we just exit the program, right? And then the program finished, says process finished. If we run it again, we do see tasks, and we still don't find that, damn it, right? What's happening? Anyone can tell me? We are actually overwriting the file. It's pretty much the end. So we add a task. Yeah.
When you remove, you're only using right, so you're like overwriting it.
Correct. But I'm overwriting it, and then I'm writing here. So, and then I'm doing my task in tasks. And then when I get the tasks, I'm doing plus. Should I do plus? Or maybe R plus? Because write plus, if it exists, it will overwrite it. So maybe we should do write plus, right? We should have the ability to read and write. So in case it doesn't exist, you actually read it, but you don't overwrite it. Maybe, let's try that. You see, all these policies are important to know. I'm just gonna stop this, clean again, and then we can create some task. Feed the dog. We're gonna create one, do homework, and then we do see tasks, right? Feed the dog, do homework. Let's just exit the program, and then let's see what happens. So in task files, we have feed the dog, and then do homework. We didn't actually did that plus. It didn't go into the new line. We have to verify why that happened. So you see, these are the little things, but let's see if we actually deleted the file or we have it. So we actually have it now. We just gotta put the R plus, right? Instead of W plus, because W, by definition, if you find the file, you will overwrite it. The R plus lets you write into it, but it also lets you read if it already exists, right? So cool. And then what's the last thing? When we are actually writing into the file, we are not putting that thing in the file. So that's the last thing we can do, and then for that will be it for the day. That's when we are adding a task, right? We're appending, but we're appending without what? Without a new line, right? So I think we should append this like this, right? Will that work? You will be able to append the file, but you make sure that you put a new line after. Because yeah, when you remove the task, we are doing that. We're appending at the end, right? Which is fine, but not when we add the task. Now let's see what happens. So we see tasks, there's nothing. Oh, actually there is. Let's just actually delete that because that's ugly. It was a bug. So we start from nowhere. Boom, we do 1. Okay. So we are going to add some tasks. So I don't know, someone give me take a shower. Perfect. Take a shower. Go to NASB meetings. Oh, thank you very much for using what happened there. I think I hit the wrong thing twice. Anyway, it should have saved it. So if you see tasks, take a shower. And this one, go to NASB meetings, is because I hit a key in the wrong thing. I'm sorry. I screw up our program again.
So then couldn't you just remove number 1?
Yeah. Actually, I already deleted the file, but let me see if we, yeah, we can do 3, and then which task you want to remove? We do 1, and then we do see tasks. Yeah, so you only have to take a shower, and then we add a task, and then type your task. Go to NASB meetings, right? And then add a task. It's gonna be 2, right? Go to shape meetings. Cool. And then we see the tasks. We have take a shower, go to NASB meetings, go to shape meetings, right? We exit the program, and then if we run it one more time, see tasks, and then you have take a shower, go to NASB meetings, go to shape program. We have a small bug that it's adding a new line more than once, so we can track it down. Maybe we can do that by the next thing, but pretty much it's done, right? Have a little small bug, but for the rest, yeah, you have a to-do list that's the same thing as notes in Mac OS. Trello, basically the same thing. So basically you just created the main functionality of a lot of programs. Just do what Apple does all the time. You create basic functionality, you put it in a nice UI design, and then you sell it for $1,000. So you basically have done a whole app, right? We're good to go, and thank you for coming. I hope you show up next time, and I hope you enjoy it and know more about files and how to use them. Have a good day.